It feels unfair, doesn't it? Well, today I want to share a story about a young man named Ollie who felt exactly the same way. Ollie lived in a small, quiet town, but his mind was anything but quiet. It was filled with frustration. He watched day after day as the loudest voices in the room seemed to get all the opportunities. People who were experts at praising themselves, who could talk for hours about their ambitions, were the ones moving up. Meanwhile, Ollie, who was diligent and hardworking, felt invisible. He'd pour his heart into his tasks, but because he didn't boast, it was as if his efforts didn't exist. He'd often think to himself, why is life so unfair? Does hard work even matter if no one sees it? The more he watched others succeed through words alone, the more he began to doubt his own path. His world was a constant echo of self-promotion from others, while his own contributions were met with silence. He grew resentful, not just of others, but of himself for being unable to play their game. The feeling of being overlooked was a heavy weight, and it made him question the very value of integrity and quiet dedication. He felt trapped in a cycle of silent effort and loud disappointment, wondering if he should just give up and become one of them, someone who talked more and worked less. The world, it seemed, rewarded noise, not substance. One afternoon, feeling particularly discouraged, Ollie was speaking with his wise old teacher. He poured out all his frustrations, explaining how it felt like the world favored empty barrels that make the most sound. The teacher listened patiently, a calm look in his eyes. When Ollie finished, the teacher didn't offer complicated advice or a grand lecture. He simply placed a gentle hand on Ollie's shoulder and said, "Son, remember this. Before words speak, work speaks." Just that one sentence. It was simple, yet it struck a chord deep within Ollie. It was a beacon of light in his fog of confusion. Before words speak, work speaks. The phrase echoed in his mind long after he left his teacher. That night, Ollie couldn't sleep. He kept replaying those words. He realized he had been focusing on the wrong thing. He was so consumed with the injustice of not being noticed that he had lost sight of his own growth. He was looking for external validation when the real power lay within his own actions. He made a decision right then and there. No more complaining, no more comparing himself to others, no more waiting for someone to pat him on the back. From that day forward, his only focus would be the work itself. He decided to channel all his energy, all his frustration, and all his passion into his craft. He would work in silence, not for applause, but for mastery. He embraced the idea that his work would eventually become his voice, a voice far more powerful and authentic than any empty boast. So, Ollie began his new journey. He disappeared from the social circles where people competed with words. He stopped looking for praise and started seeking knowledge. He put his head down and poured every ounce of his energy into his efforts. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. While others were busy building their reputations with talk, Ollie was quietly building his skills. He experimented, he failed, he learned, and he improved, all in the quiet solitude of his workshop. People in the town slowly started to forget about him. What happened to Ollie? Some would ask, but soon, even those questions faded. He became a ghost in his own town, a forgotten name. But Ollie didn't mind. He was on a different path. While the world forgot him, his abilities were growing stronger, more refined, and more powerful than ever before. He was forging his identity not with words, but with competence. Years went by. The town, like all places, eventually faced a crisis. A challenge so difficult arose that no one knew how to solve it. The talkers, the ones who had always been in the spotlight, were suddenly silent. Their words were useless against this real-world problem. Panic began to set in. People were desperate for a solution, for someone with real skill, and that's when they remembered. They remembered the quiet one, the one who had disappeared into his work. They remembered Ollie, hesitantly at first, then with growing hope, they turned to him. They found him in his workshop, surrounded by the results of years of silent, dedicated labor. He listened to their problem, and with the calm confidence that only comes from true mastery, he offered a solution. And just like that, Ali, the boy who once felt invisible, became the town's hero. He didn't need to say a word about his abilities. His work, his solutions, his results, they did all the talking for him. They shouted his value from the rooftops. As he looked at the grateful faces around him, Ali smiled. He finally understood the profound truth his teacher had shared all those years ago. You don't need to be the loudest person in the room. You just need to be the best. Because when you focus on your craft and work in silence, you let your success make all the noise for you. Tune out the noise, focus on your work, and trust the process. Your time will come. Thank you for watching.